Have you heard the one about the antique mirror? They say if you find a mirror with a tarnished silver frame, you should leave it be. A young woman, Sarah, bought one for her apartment. It was beautiful. But at night, she'd catch glimpses of something in the reflection, a pale figure standing just behind her. It was a woman in a ragged wedding veil. Sarah tried to get rid of the mirror, but it always reappeared in her home. The last time anyone saw her, she was staring into the glass with the ghostly bride's arms wrapped around her reflection. You know, they say some art is meant to be left alone. Chloe, an art student, found a striking portrait in a back alley galleria, painting of a somber man in old-fashioned clothing. She hung it in her apartment, but soon felt an unnerving presence. She'd walk by and swear the man's eyes would follow her. One evening, she noticed his expression had changed. The stern frown was now a faint, sinister smile. That night, she heard scratching sounds coming from the wall behind the painting. When she finally got the courage to look, the painting was empty. The frame held nothing but a blank canvas. She wasn't alone in the room anymore. After escaping the empty frame, Chloe was hunted by reflections. Every window, every puddle seemed to hold the painted man's grinning face. Desperate for answers, her search led her to a legend, the tale of the Mirror Bride. She found herself in a dimly lit antique shop, face to face with a tarnished silver mirror. As she stared into the glass, her own terrified face looked back, but she wasn't alone. In the reflection, the painted man stood right behind her, and next to him, a ghostly, transparent figure. It was Sarah, her mouth open in a silent scream, pointing. Before Chloe could turn, the Mirror Bride's pale hands broke the surface of the glass, reaching for her. As the bride's chilling hands reached for Chloe, the ghost in the glass acted. Sarah, a prisoner no more, slammed her spectral form against the mirror's surface from within. The ancient glass didn't just break, it exploded. Shards flew, and from the shimmering fragments, Sarah's flickering spirit tumbled out into the world. There was no time for questions. Chloe grabbed Sarah's ghostly arm, the touch cold as ice, and pulled her into the night. They ran, a living girl and a ghost, leaving the ruined shop behind. But as they glanced at a rain-slicked street, they saw they weren't alone. In the reflection, two figures hunted them now, the grinning painted man and the ethereal, vengeful Mirror Bride. The city itself became their prison. There was nowhere to hide when every surface was a potential trap. The painted man stalked them through art, his form twisting across billboards and street murals, his painted arms reaching from posters to snatch at their clothes. The Mirror Bride was even more relentless. Her ghostly hands erupted from shop windows, from the side mirrors of passing cars, even from the dark screen of a discarded phone. Sarah's spectral form wavered violently with each attack, the reflections threatening to pull her apart. Chloe realized they weren't just being followed. They were being herded. The ghostly duo was driving them somewhere specific. Every escape route they took was cut off, forcing them down a single dark path toward the one place where art and reflections were born, the old city museum. They were cornered in the center of the room, the empty gilded frame filled with swirling colors. And the painted man flowed into existence within its borders, no longer a shadow but a complete, leering portrait. Simultaneously, the Mirror Bride emerged in her full, terrifying glory, not one pair of hands, but hundreds erupting from every reflective surface, creating a silent, writhing audience. The intent was clear. The painted man raised a dripping hand, pointing at Chloe. He would paint her into his masterpiece. The bride's hands turned towards Sarah, not to grab her, but to push her away, dismissing the flawed ghost. A new heir was needed. But as Sarah's form flickered on the edge of oblivion, she made a final choice. She looked at Chloe, a silent message of sacrifice passing between them. She would not be replaced. With a final, defiant scream that shattered the silence, she turned away from Chloe and lunged toward the largest mirror in the hall, becoming a bolt of pure, spectral energy. The moment they stepped inside, the museum doors slammed shut, sealing them in a tomb of art and echoes. This wasn't a chase anymore. It was an exhibition. The painted man was the curator, dancing from canvas to canvas. A serene landscape twisted into a scene of horror. A portrait's eyes followed them, its lips curling into a familiar, malicious grin. The mirror bride held court in the polished floors and display cases, her hands silently reaching from every angle. Each reflection was a hook, tearing at Sarah's fragile form, threatening to pull her into the glass forever. Chloe realized they were being herded through the exhibits. Pushed toward the museum's dark heart, the Hall of Antique Mirrors. At its center stood a single, empty gilded frame. This was the final trap. It wasn't about capture. It was about replacement. The painted man needed a new masterpiece for his collection, and the mirror bride was looking for an heir. Sarah's sacrifice was not an escape. It was an attack. The moment she struck the mirror, it did not absorb her, it shattered. A wave of pure white light erupted from the impact, a spectral explosion that tore through the hall. This was Sarah's essence, unleashed. For the mirror bride, it was poison. The hundreds of hands flinched back in unison, their ghostly forms sizzling and dissolving as the light washed over them. Mirrors across the hall cracked, one after another, the sound like a cascade of breaking ice. The connection was severed. The bride's hands, once a coordonate me, were now gisselés, fading apparition, twitching in agony before retreating into the few remaining shards of glass. The collective was broken. The painted man, trapped in his frame, could only watch. His perfect gallery now, a ruin of shattered glass and fading magic. From the story ending. The silence that fell was absolute, broken only by the soft tinkle of settling glass. The Hall of Mirrors was a graveyard of reflections. The mirror bride was gone, her power shattered into 1,000 useless shards. Chloe stood alone in the wreckage, dust and motes of fading light swirling around her. She looked at the gilded frame. The painted man was still there, but the life had drained from him. His face was a rictus of fury, but it was just paint on a canvas now, a silent, impotent work of art. The magic that connected him to the mirrors was broken. He was a king with no kingdom, a predator with no hunting ground. Chloe walked past him, not even giving the trapped artwork a final glance. She pushed open the heavy museum doors and stepped out into the dawn. The nightmare was over.